welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to this very special campaign across Network 18. Today on World Toilet Day, Mission Swachhta or Paani is powering an elevated dialogue on sanitation empowerment. So over the next 8 hours, we are going to hear from citizens, from governments, from non-profits, sanitation warriors, change makers and policy experts. They will give us a 360-degree view. We're going to be asking each one of them and you what you make of the 5 ways in which each one of us can create an empowered sanitation and water status for India. We'd like to welcome back on stage Ravi Bhatnagar from Reckitt. We're joined by Naina Lal Kidwai, Jyoti Lamba, Parini Chopra is of course here with us, and we have a very, very special guest who joins us on the Mission Paani and Swachhta Mission Paani stage today, the G20 Sherpa, Mr. Amitabh Kant, who's just returned from Bali and straight here to Mumbai to join us for this very special occasion. Mr. Kant, may I have you up on stage? Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause.
The former Niti Aayog CEO and now the G20 Sherpa, Amitabh ji, namaste. Thank you. Thank you for making the effort and joining us.
I know that this has been a tough one for you to pull off, Mr. Kant, but I know that you are the only one who could have managed this, flown straight back from Bali and to Mumbai to join us here for this very special campaign.
There was no other option when you tell me to come here.
I felt the same, so I felt the same.
No, but thank you so much, Mr. Kant. We really appreciate it. Before we talk about Mission Swachhta or Paani, let's talk a little bit about G20. Yeah. It's a big moment for India. India takes on the G20 presidency. You've just returned from Bali. Explain to our viewers why this means so much.
Shireen, G20 accounts for about 85% of the global GDP. It accounts for about 78% of the global trade. 90% of the global innovation and patents come from G20 countries, and it accounts for almost about 75% of the global population. It's a very, very important body as far as policy making is concerned, because it comprises of all the G7 developed world. It also comprises of all the major emerging markets. So if you want to make your voice felt, this is really the forum. For many years, India has been responding to the agenda set by the developed world. This is the first time that India will be shaping the global agenda, because it will be the president of the G20. Wow. And that gives India a huge responsibility as far as a vast range of areas is concerned. Sustainable development goals, climate action, digital transformation. I mean, really making a difference to the lives of citizens across the world.
You know, you're very right in pointing out that this could be an opportunity for India to shape the agenda and bring new ideas to the table. The Prime Minister also said that India wants to put ideas that will be inclusive and take on leadership that is decisive as we take on the G20 presidency. In the context of the conversation that we're having today, Swachhta and water, what will be our approach on both of these issues? Because these are global challenges, Mr. Kant.
So, Shireen, to my mind, the most critical thing that this government has pushed in the last 7 to 8 years, it's done a vast number of things, but I think the most important and the most critical initiative that was taken was the Swachhta mission. It was important because, sanitation really impacts a vast range of areas. It impacts health. It impacts nutrition, it impacts education, it impacts the livelihoods of people, it impacts women in many, many ways. And therefore, providing close to about 10.1 crore toilets across India is like providing, every citizen. I mean, the size and scale of that is like providing every citizen of Germany a toilet. That's the size and scale we must understand. Or providing close to about 8.9 million water connections, which is really about 25 million households, is people of India, is like providing, water connection to everyone living in the country of Brazil. That's the size and scale of what we are trying to do. So it's important to understand that this will have a huge impact on their health. It will have a huge impact on nutrition, because in India we have a virtual cycle of malnutrition. That will get hugely uplifted. Wasting, stunting, and all this will have a huge impact. If you go to villages of India, if you go to different cities, I've covered Firozabad, I've covered Varanasi, I've covered Balia, Deoria, all these districts of India, where it's made a huge difference to the lives of young children, of women, that their livelihoods have got totally uplifted because of this. Then I went to Nagpur, in a slum area of Nagpur, where, you suddenly started getting, in the slums, you started getting 24/7 water connection. And, and that's on in Nagpur slum area, it was on a payment basis. It was a PPP scheme, private-public partnership scheme. And the women there in the slum area said that we would any day prefer to pay for water because it's making such a huge difference on the health condition of the entire community there. So it makes a massive difference to livelihoods, and the health burden, the cost of health, which we don't realize, falls very sharply.
अमिताभ जी, मैं एक प्रश्न पूछूंगा. G20 पे एक बात है कि thought leadership. So SDG 6 और sustainability पे आपको लगता है भारत is taking the lead? We are showing the path to the world?
देखिए, हमने जो काम किया है अभी तक इस स्वच्छता में और अब पानी में जो हम काम कर रहे हैं, ये इस स्केल और साइज पे किसी ने काम नहीं किया. एक तो ये कि हमने टॉयलेट्स बनाए, वो तो आवश्यक था, पर दूसरा जो सबसे महत्वपूर्ण चीज जो है कि आपको बिहेवियरल चेंज लाना सबसे आवश्यक है. क्योंकि आप बाथरूम्स हार्ड इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर बना भी दीजिएगा तो उसको आगे चल के उपयोग करना जरूरी है हर समय. तो बिहेवियरल चेंज लाना बहुत आवश्यक है. और इसमें जो एक्सटेंशन, मास कम्युनिकेशन का जो काम हुआ है और जो लोगों को समझाया गया है, और तीसरी चीज जो हुई है कि जो नई टेक्नोलॉजी बाथरूम्स बनाने की, टॉयलेट्स बनाने की जो नई टेक्नोलॉजी आई है जिसमें कम पानी उपयोग होता है, ये सब बड़े ब्रेक थ्रू हुए हैं. और बिहेवियर का जो बदलाव आया है भारत में, उससे मुझे तो बहुत गर्व होता है कि भारत में सडनली ये एक ख्याल आया है कि सैनिटेशन को हम सेंटर स्टेज लाए, और दूसरी चीज कि हम पानी को अब इतने जन आंदोलन की तरह पूरे देश में फैला रहे हैं, क्योंकि टॉयलेट्स के लिए पानी बहुत आवश्यक है. तो अगर हम पानी जब पहुंचाएंगे तो तीसरी चीज जो होगी कि लोगों की हैबिट्स बदलेगी, कि लोग कि अपना हाथ धोएंगे और हाथ धोकर फिर उसके बाद सफाई फैलेगी. क्योंकि सारा जो इन्फेक्शन फैलता है वो इसलिए फैलता है क्योंकि हम लोग अपना हाथ लगातार नहीं धोते हैं, और वो धोना बहुत आवश्यक है.
हाथ साफ रखने की बात शुरू होगी, बिहेवियरल चेंज, तो आप फिर टॉयलेट भी साफ रखना शुरू करेंगे.
मैं एक और चीज कहना चाहती हूँ जो आई थिंक हम लोग बात करना भूल रहे हैं, वो है हमारे देश की एक बहुत बड़ी सेक्शन जो है हमारे सीनियर सिटीजन्स. आप ये समझें कि हमारे जब बाथरूम्स, स्पेशली पब्लिक बाथरूम साफ नहीं होते, हमारे सीनियर सिटीजन्स के लिए कितना मुश्किल है. मैं सोच रही हूँ उन औरतों की जो साड़ियाँ पहनती हैं, मैं उन बुजुर्ग आदमियों की जो चलने में जिनको मुश्किल है. अगर वो पब्लिक बाथरूम साफ नहीं है, सूखा नहीं है, तो आप सोचिए कि उनकी जिंदगी पे कितना बुरा प्रभाव पड़ता है. हम लोग जो यंग लोग हैं, हम कुछ जुगाड़ करके हम लोग कुछ कर सकते हैं, बट इमेजिन द सीनियर सिटीजन्स ऑफ आवर कंट्री who need a safe space.
No, absolutely. I think the conversation that we're having comes from a very privileged place as well, because we've never had to think about not having access to a clean toilet or never having access to water. So I think it is very important for us to understand the complexities of the issue, the constraints that it causes in the lives, daily lives of regular people. Women walking kilometers, just to be able to get water, staying up all night just to be standing in lines to get a bucket full of water. I mean, this is the harsh reality, and it continues to be the harsh reality.
I have seen senior citizens, I beg your pardon, I have seen senior citizens in a simple place like a mall, scared to go to the bathroom and would prefer to reach home and not use that bathroom just because it's not safe for them. Because they don't know if they're going to slip, they don't know if they're going to catch a disease. And most of the youth needs to understand this. They need to understand the change will happen from us for them.
Yes, Mr. Kant, you wanted to say something.
So, Shireen, for many years I worked in the traditional fisheries sector of Kerala. And, my job was to transform their lives. And one of the challenges there was that, you could provide them new outboard motors, new craft, new nets. But the challenge really was on the health side. And, the health expenditure of a traditional fisherman family was very high because the sanitation conditions were very poor.
Right.
And because the sanitation conditions were very poor, the infection rate was high, and that was leading to very high level of stunting and wasting.
Right.
And, a very weak mother, because of these infections, was leading to this.
Absolutely.
So now, I'd recently gone back to some of these villages, and I saw this huge transformation simply because there were good toilets, there was adequate supply of water, livelihoods had been transformed.
Absolutely. Sanitation and health is linked. Let me also welcome Naina Lal Kidwai into the conversation. Naina, many thanks for joining us on this very special day. And I know you are someone who's been championing the cause of sanitation, of water, of hygiene for about 6 years now, when you started the Sanitation Coalition, Naina. I want to understand from you the journey that's been covered, the distance that's been covered, and more importantly, the 5 things, since we're asking everyone to share with us the 5 things that we need to focus on and prioritize, what would those be?
So, Shireen, let me first start by thanking CNBC for making this such an important issue. For Rekit Benkaiser, Ravi, who is on our steering committee of the India Sanitation Coalition, and all that he brings, Amitabh, for the role he's played in ensuring that the competition that is created between cities is one that is absolutely paramount. So when you ask me about the 5 things, I think you have covered some, the criticality of the provision of toilets, absolutely, and what the government has done within that. The role of communities in ensuring that the whole understanding and linkage between health and sanitation happens. Very thrilled to see the municipal corporations of Indore and Punjab profiled by you. We need our municipal commissioners and the leadership they provide at the city level. I would like to add one conversation which those of us who work in the field are still working at, and we have a long ways to go, and that is the treatment side of it. It is not good enough to just now funnel all the shit into these toilets. If we do not treat it and it goes right back into the fields we had funneled it away from, then it's going to be a national disaster. Yeah. So the cleaning, the sewage treatment, the ensuring that we have recovery of wastewater from that treatment is key. And in order to do this, the infrastructure needs to be provided. It needs to be provided at a very distributed level. Gone are the days where we need just large municipal corporation built plants. We can have smaller plants. They can go into RWAs, into buildings, which is indeed what is mandated. We as citizens have to demand that these are always in working order and that the treatment facilities are indeed working. And believe me, the recovery, whether it be fertilizer in terms of the solid waste that is left, or indeed the wastewater recovery, is going to make it worthwhile. And if we as citizens have to pay for this treatment, then so be it. We must be willing to, because it keeps our environment and our water bodies clean. But the role of the citizen in knowing, demanding, and ensuring that we get the right level of hygiene and cleanliness, whether we're in a city or a village, is very, very critical.
What is, Naina ji, namaste. This is Anand Narasimhan here, and this is not just on CNBC, it's on Awaaz, on News 18 India, and on CNN News 18. So the entire might of the network is championing this campaign, because that's how important it is. But tell us a little more about the Lighthouse Village project. What is it all about in Uttar Pradesh?
I am so happy that you asked. The Lighthouse project is a partnership which the Department of Drinking Water and Sanitation, the ministry at the center, has created. And 75 districts and Gram Panchayats across the country have been selected, of which UP has a number. And these are in, Barabanki, in Lucknow, in Haldoi, in Saharanpur. So across these, where corporates have been picked and selected to work in partnership with the grassroots functionaries. And what the government is saying is, look, we have dedicated and committed enough money. We need to make sure that this is well spent. And in fact, at the core of this is the collaboration that the private sector, the not-for-profit and government, and of course the community can provide to make this model work. And the most successful models, whether in sanitation or water or any activity that is engaged in, are those where these collaborations come together. So what the Lighthouse project has conceived of is, in UP, we have the HCL Foundation, Tata Trust, and ITC as three major corporates who've come in, working with the Amitabh Kant Foundation, who is a grassroots provider of these services, and of course the panchayats themselves and the mission directors working as a collaboration to ensure that government committed money is spent, that it's spent in a way that is holistic in terms of provision of toilets. But if you look at our India Sanitation Coalition, which is making all of this come together, it is the build, yes, but the use, which comes with community activity, ensuring people use the toilets, maintain the toilets, and the treatment, the bump tea, is so important in this. And in ensuring that water is also provided, and that technology, repair, and innovation solutions are also provided at each level. And this partnership is well underway right now in Uttar Pradesh and, of course, in other parts of the country to ensure that we can create these model villages for others to follow.
Fantastic.
Absolutely. And, you know, it's wonderful to hear the birds chirping as Naina Kitwar is speaking. It's absolutely wonderful to have that. But, Mr. Kant, I just want to pick up on what we heard there from Naina. And I remember the day that the Swachh Bharat mission was launched, you and Param Iyer joined me that night to speak about the execution roadmap. And the aspect of collaboration, not just government at the center, but local governments, state governments, local administrations, the private sector, the social sector, getting everyone involved to make this a shared responsibility. How apprehensive were you at the start of the mission that without this collaboration, it wouldn't happen? And has this exceeded your expectation, the kind of partnerships that have evolved?
Yeah. So let me first compliment Naina for being so passionate about an issue which is of such a major concern for the country. Secondly, you know, I really think that when we started this, we'd not anticipated that there will be such a huge community response. It's been possible largely because of a huge political drive from the top. But I think it's also been possible because we've been able to get the community involved. Thirdly, I think important thing is that we did a huge amount of competition. So one of the things we learned earlier on is that it's very important to get data. Data is important for governance. Put that data in public domain. Start ranking districts, start ranking municipalities, start ranking states. This is exactly what we've done in aspirational districts. We picked up the most backward districts of India. The Prime Minister didn't call them the backward, he called them the aspirational district. We ranked them, we named and shamed poor performance, we appreciated good performance, and once you put out real-time data in public domain, it makes a huge difference. One last point I want to make, which Naina talked about, and that is about creating a business model. It's very, very important that if you want to sustain this over a long period of time, all of us Indians must learn to pay for water and must learn to pay for sanitation as well as we go along. Because each one of us must realize this, that sustaining such a large movement is possible if all of us really are able to help towards creating a great business model. You know, reuse of water, recycling of water, all this requires innovation. All this requires technology of a very good scale. And then we need to take it all across India. And at least the urban people, each one of us who come from middle or upper middle class family, each one of us must learn to pay for it.
Pay for it, yes, but also use it responsibly and also take the message forward. So we are hoping to reach at least 200 million people, and we're hoping that at least today through this telethon, and each of those 200 million people, if we can take it to another 5 people, imagine, we should be able to take this message to nearly 1 billion people, ladies and gentlemen. That's what we need to do and get talking about it, not just talking, start acting on it too. आज हमारे बीच एक और ऐसी